Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're doing the series we started in Bloomburrow. Now we're doing Duskmourn House of Horror Brawl Commanders review, where we go through all the new legendary creatures and I give my opinion on how I personally would build them and give suggestion of cards, as well as if there's some commanders I don't think they're playable or uninteresting. I also do say that. You guys are welcome to give your opinions in the comment section. If you agree, you disagree, how you build the deck, which one you're most excited about. But yeah, this is the first installment of this, as we're going to have the second one with the Commander ones, which are added to Arena, the Duskmourn Commander cards that are added to Arena as well. And then later on, we have the Alchemy cards that are also added. They usually come with a few legendaries. This time around, if I'm not mistaken, we have 18 or 19 legendary cards. So yeah. Let's get started. If you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the idea, do leave a like, do subscribe, and let's get started. So first and foremost, last time around we had just the unplayable category, which I think is a bit unfair. I think most of them are playable, so I added the uninteresting, as in they don't bring anything new or just not as good as a commander as opposed as part of the 99. So for example, first and foremost, we have Alternate the Trice called 7 mana 9/9. Okay, that's fine. Trample, cool. When it becomes the target of a spell ability, opponent controls, you draw a card. Underwhelming. And then you can pay 2 mana and discard it to return a land from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. That is the best part about this card. And as a commander, that just doesn't work, because you can never discard from your command zone. So this card as a commander is just a 7 mana 9/9 that if it is to get killed or target with a removal spell, you're going to draw a card, which is extremely underwhelming for a mono green commander. So I think this card, as part of the 99, really cool. Is a really interesting way to ramp, because you go 10-1, fetch, Forest, Llanowar Elves, turn 2, bring the fetch back, for example. I think that's really powerful. It also helps feed, Delirium, since you're putting a creature into your graveyard, getting a land back. It's a really nice card as part of 99. As a commander, I think it's just so terrible. So terrible. Up next, you have the Mono Questioning. 3 mana 1/1, beginning of your end step for land into the battlefield, and you control this turn, and you control a prime number of lands, which they let us know which are the prime numbers in case you're like me and numbers are not your strong suit. You create a legendary 0/0 with that many +1/+1 counters on it. So why do I think this is unplayable / uninteresting? I think it's uninteresting because it's just a generic Simic commander, and I think there's better generic Simic commanders. There's no gimmick you can really do with the prime number of lands. There's nothing special, that no other cards that really work with prime numbers. So you're just having this 3 mana commander that doesn't ramp on itself, doesn't get card advantage on itself, but rather needs you to be having these exact number of lands at the end of your turn, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, whatever, so on, for you to get value. But this value is a legendary creature, so you can't get this value like 2 turns in a row, because you're just gonna sacrifice it. So I think it's underwhelming as a commander. It's playable as a commander, but it's underwhelming, and there's better generic Simic commanders. So I would not personally play this as a commander. I wouldn't be opposed to playing as part of the 99. I think it could be like your 98th, 99th card. Honestly, I think there's better Simic cards, but it's a different thing. And then if in the future they add more prime stuff, we'll be excited for it. Then we have the Wandering Rescuer. 5 mana 3/4 with flash, double strike, and convoke. Other tap creature control have hexproof. It's a really powerful playable card. The thing is, I just think the deck it fits usually is going to be like either like a mono white tokens, a mono white go wide, mono white aggro. I just think it would do better as a part of the 99, and as the better, more aggressive, more value oriented white commanders. So I think it's a very good card. I just don't think it would excel as your commander. But I mean, I think it might be worth giving a try. But I am on the lower side on this card as your commander. I just want to double check if the video is recording correctly, because this is the second time I'm recording this video, as I forgot to record my screen last time around, and that was a 15-minute video I had to throw in the trash. So yeah, now we get started with the decks. I think I play with the commanders. I think I play with. It's in not rating order, it is in color order. So we're going to start with the white one, which is Toby, the Beastie Befriender. It's I'm going to try to speak a bit slow. I'm going a bit fast today. 3 mana 1/1 human wizard. When it comes to the play, you create a 4/4 white beast with this creature can attack or block alone, so they're best friends. and as long as you control 4 or more creature tokens you control have flying. So what is the interesting part here? We have this is the part you're interested about. Creature tokens you control have flying. You need 4 of them. It needs to be specifically creature tokens. So treasure, clues, they don't count. So I think the way to build this deck is pretty straightforward, and I think it's really good as well. It's just mono white tokens, go wide, get your creatures bigger. So obviously we have the ones that will be going to creating tokens consistently. So you have a Skrow's Hive, Wedding Announcement obviously for 3 turns, and then it's going to give you a nice Anthem effect, but still that's really powerful. Ocelot Pride is going to be really powerful with the beast that Toby creates is not a legend, so that's worth noting. So if you have a way to gain life and trigger Pride with the Toby when it comes to play, you're going to get 2 4/4s. With all the token generators, it's going to be worth to size something like that. And also like the Procession, same idea, doubling the tokens you're creating. And then obviously we want some card advantage, so we have obviously Caretaker's Talent. Those card cards, a token comes into play, you draw a card, eventually becomes an Anthem. And then I even added a more recent card, which, let me turn my neck to read it to you guys, because this is the only way I could add it here. So for you guys who don't know, these are rooms now in this new set. Basically you can cast either side of it, and it's an enchantment that stays into play, and whenever you want you can pay the other side and to unlock the room and have both abilities active at the same time. So first half of it is whenever one or more non-toy creatures you control attack a player, you create a 1/1 white toy artifact creature token. That's really powerful. It's going to be creating a lot of tokens for you, since you can go this on turn 2 after turn 1 token, like Legion's Landing, for example. Creatures you control have base power and toughness equal to the number of creatures you control. Like, your creatures are going to be huge since we're going very wide. I think this is really powerful card from the new set. Fits really well. The last bit of Toby that I think it's important to accomplish is having 4 more creature tokens. Toby himself brings 1 in, so you need 3 more. So I think it's worthwhile adding cards that make 3 tokens at once, so you can get this ability active by just using 1 card as opposed to using like a 2 mana create 2 tokens and then this Skrow's Hive activation. So now I have the 3 more tokens for Toby. So I think just having 1 way to get the requirements met is really powerful. So like Saram's Expertise is the most powerful one, but we have Hop to it. There's a 4 mana one as well. I think it's War Leader's Call, I could be mistaken, that makes 3 1/1 white soldiers. So any way to just on top of Toby have the 4 tokens and give them flying as fast as possible. But yeah, this is an exciting deck, and I think it's gonna be really strong as well. Obviously you get a few choices, but I think there's a very linear way to build it, and yeah, I'm interested in it. Will probably be one of the first decks I'll build. Up next, we're in blue with the Mind Skinner. It's a 3 mana 10/1, sorry. Can't be blocked, so it's an unblockable 10/1. Oh my god, it's gonna kill my opponent in 3 turns. No. Whenever source you control deal damage an opponent, prevent the damage, and they mill them any card. So it's a mill commander. So again, pretty straightforward. We're building a mill deck with the Mind Skinner on top of it. So we have the likes of Brewvac and Fraying Sanity, which basically means I'm milling you 10, never mind I'm milling you for 20 cards every time the Skinner connects, which is really powerful. You have the likes of Archive Trav, Start Awake, so like these one-time mill a lot of cards effects. I think that's important. And then if you also want to work on the dealing damage, since we're mono blue, we don't have like the burn spell, which could be an interesting way to build it. You have the likes of like Surge Engine, which can become unblockable, Cryptic Coat, makes unblockable creatures. Because yeah, you don't want to just be playing normal creatures and hope they connect. You can play things with evasion or with like flying as well. You can put like Curiosity on them and do like a mono blue tempo mill strategy as well. I think that could be interesting. The one issue with that strategy is that the Mind Skinner is the single most fragile creature you can have. It dies to a breeze. Like, it has 1 toughness. So any red removal kills it. Obviously any black removal is gonna kill it. Any green fight spell is gonna fight damage. It's gonna kill it. Blue obviously bouncing, whatever, that's normal. And then white as well also dies to everything. So apart from the counter spells you're gonna run, your mana drains, your actual factual counter spells, it could be interesting to run like Shore Up, Dive Down, your cheaper counter spells like Spell Pierce, Miscast, just to make sure it survives. And in the same vein, like Eluge as it gets really strong in this deck, since you're going to be able to cast these for free if Luigi's in play. Will really work together. At that point you have a lot of devotion, so you can work with Dust, so you can work with Nykthos. So I think it's an interesting deck, but it's left to be seen how deep you go on the deal damage to an opponent, or you just build a normal mill deck and this is the commander, which if it connects can mill them for a bunch. So it'll be like a question, do you want to play the Mind Skinner or do you want to play just Brewvac, since the ability doesn't require it connecting as your commander in this mono blue mill deck. I think it's going to be interesting and I'm looking forward to it. Up next, this is a commander I considered to put in the unplayable / uninteresting, but I decided to, you know, not put too many and give it a go, even if I don't think they're going to be extremely competitive. So Valgoth Terra Eater is a 9 mana 9/9 with flying lifelink, ward, sacrifice 3 non-land permanents, so if they target it to kill it, you're getting a lot of value out of it. If a card you're doing control, we put into opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead, and during your turn we play cards exile with Valgoth, and you can pay life rather than the mana cost. Life equal to the mana cost rather than paying mana. So what are we doing here? A 9 mana commander with no ETB, very weak to counterspell, very weak to board wipes. It's a tough sell. It's a tough sell. It works much better as a reanimate target. But even then, I think there's a way to build it. It will be mono black going big, like big black, I guess. So we have like Liliana, which can help us find swamps, make sure we're hitting our land drops. If you have ultimates, you're good to go. Black Market, since you're going to be killing a bunch of that stuff, hopefully, and this is going to generate a lot of mana, makes Valgoth easier to cast the first time around, gets countered the second time around, you're going to have enough mana anyway. Dark Ritual, just some things to push you forward, like a lot of mana rocks. You're going to run a lot of Wraths, and I think like the likes of Cabal Stronghold and Dread Presence, so I think you're going to run like mostly Swamp base. You can run like Winter Moon. Stronghold obviously very strong. If you can get enough devotion, Nykthos gets very strong in this deck. Since we're running big stuff, you get to run the likes of Shieldred, what is it called? The 7-mana enchantment that puts creatures from graveyards. Oh, that one. Anything that's bigger, you just run like this heavy removal package in the bottom of your curve, removal and ramp on the bottom of your curve, and then just a bunch of big stuff, big impactful plays. So a bunch of board wipes, big creatures with ETBs, creatures that will just, if it sticks, you win the game kind of stuff. I think that's the idea to play it. I still think Valgoth would be better as far as reanimate targeting now, that like green-black decks probably, but I think it'll be worthwhile trying it. It has a sick art, you know. Props to Antonio Jose Manzanedo. Very fantastic art, so I think just on the art alone I would be willing to build this deck. But yeah, don't expect this to be hyper competitive, because a 9/9, surviving to play a 9/9 for 9 mana is very tough. Very, very tough. There's a lot of aggressive decks, a lot of value generating decks that by the time you play your commander you're gonna be pretty far behind, but that's alright. We will give it a go, nevertheless. Up next, Norrin Swift Survivalist, another one that I thought of maybe not being playable, but I gave it a go, and I think there's an interesting way to build it. So 1 mana 2/1, can't block, and whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you can exile it and play the card from exile this turn. So first of all, 1 mana 2/1 in red, you are directly competing with Ragavan, which is arguably one of the better aggressive commanders, since if you on the play on turn 1, your opponent don't deal with it, you're so far ahead from the get-go. So yeah, it's a very tough sell already from that, but I think there's an interesting enough gimmick that I'll be willing to build it, and being an uncommon also is easy to build, so I don't have to waste a lot of wild cards. So what are we doing here? We're looking for ETBs on aggressive creatures. Yeah, mostly that, I guess. So we have like Terror of the Peaks is going to get us value from us replaying our cheap creatures that get exiled after they get blocked. So the idea is you put pressure in the beginning by attacking, and then later on when there's like non-profitable attacks, there's only like going to push a little bit of damage, you can still attack because you can exile these creatures and just replay them. And if they happen to have ETBs like an Abbot of Carrow Keep or a Charming Scoundrel, not only do you still get to push damage because your board was wide enough, you get to get the value out of these creatures again. So I think that's interesting enough. Fury is a weird example because it's a bit expensive, but the thing is, you cast it for it full cost, you attack with it, it's a bad attack, they block it, you exile it, you can still cast it for Evoke again, so that's obviously nice. Fanatic I think is one of the more powerful ones that would work here, since it deals damage to devotion and being able to replay it, really powerful. Mirror March, I saw this and I think it can be really, really strong, although like a 6 mana enchantment in my 1 mana aggressive commander deck is a bit weird, Brawl deck rather. But whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under control, flip a coin to lose a flip, and then for each flip you won, you create a token that's a copy of that creature. They gain haste and they can attack. That doesn't work with Norin that well the last bit, since it's going to be post-combat. But since we are running like a bunch of ETBs effect, and we're going to be able to have like a constant flow of creatures thanks to Norin's second ability, we're going to be able to feed this Mirror March and get value out of it every time. Like I have a Fanatic of Morgus in play and they have like a 10-10. I can attack it. They're either going to let me push 4 damage or they're going to block it. If they block it, I exile it and I play it again. Mirror March triggers, I win 3 flips and I'm probably hitting them for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage out of that. And I think that on its own seems really powerful, since Nora is going to give us enough creatures to feed the March, because I think the biggest issue is having the 6 mana card, and by the time you play it, your hand is empty. So Nora gives us the food, the fuel for this Mirror March, and I think it's going to be like a big star in this deck. I'm excited for that. The Impact Tremor is in the same vein. You're replaying creatures, so every time you replay them, you deal 1 damage to the opponent. I think, again, like I said, it's going to be a tough sell, since Ragavan is the same mana cost and arguably a lot better. But I think the gimmick is interesting enough where I would be keen to build it and give it a go. So yeah, look forward to this one. Since it's an uncommon commander and I probably have most of these cards, it's going to be one of the easier ones for me to build once the set comes out. So yeah, I'm excited for this. Up next, we have Tyvar, the Pummeler, a 3-mana 3/3 elf warrior. You can tap another untapped creature control and it gains indestructible and you tap it. Worth noting that the cost is tapping an untapped creature. So tapping this Tyvar is tapped, you can still activate this. So that's fantastic. And he has a built-in overrun without trample for 5 mana, for where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Super powerful. So how are we building this deck? I think there's 2 main ways. First of all, I think you need these big creatures in your deck, big cheap creatures, so it's easier to get a huge overrun, even by turn 5. I think there is 2 main ways. The first one being going like a elf deck, elf tribal, or going tokens, or even like tokens with an elf sub theme, or elf sub theme with a token sub theme. Something along those lines. You could also go kind of stompy, but I think you're not going to have enough creatures wide enough. But it's also an alternative. So first of all, big creatures. You want to have big creatures, so this overrun effect is as powerful as possible. Gauta is a 12/12, potentially in this deck if you're going wide enough for 2 mana. Gigantosaurus 10/10 for 5, always 5 mana. You play it, you pay 5 mana, all your creatures gets +10/+10. Probably lethal, pretty strong. We kind of want to go wide, so we have all this effect. Since we're not giving trample, we want to make sure we're pushing the damage anyway. So going tokens, so Esker's Chariot, Springheart, and Tuco. And tokens are really good because since you're creating multiple tokens per card, you're going to be able to activate the first ability of Tyvar multiple times in a turn, since it doesn't cost tapping itself. The other way, obviously, is Elves, which is going to give you, first of all, a bunch of mana to cast these big creatures to help. Yeah, it has a bunch of token generators as well. It goes wide enough, and then also, since you have elf lords, your creatures are gonna be bigger. Like imagine having 2 elf lords. Tyvar is already a 5/5, so by paying 5 mana, you give all your creatures 5/5/5. That's pretty freaking strong. You don't need to give a +10/+10. Obviously, it's very very more powerful to give +10/+10, but +5/+5 is reasonable enough. Like I think that's good enough. So I would lean towards the elf build, at least for the first version, but I would be interested in seeing like a Gauta Gigantosaurus also in the deck kind of version. And then the last option, which also happens to have an elf sub theme, would be like a stompy version. Still Lift Champion, 3 mana, 5/4. So for 5 mana, you're already getting a big creature. Pelkula keeps getting bigger, so the activation will be bigger and bigger. So I think those are the 3 versions: token, elf, and stompy, and you can mix and match the 3 of them. The one I'm more interested in is the elf version, so we'll see how it is. But yeah, I'm excited about this one as well. I think it's going to be one of the stronger commanders this time around. Up next, another green commander in Kona, Rescue Beastie, which, oh, I just hit my table accident. People already not complaining, but have thoughts about it in Pioneer and other formats. Because it's a 4 mana 4/3 and it has Survival, which is the beginning of your second main phase. If it's tapped, you may put a permanent card from your hand into the battlefield. In this deck, the issue won't be the same as they're complaining, because you can put a permanent, not a creature. So you get to put in like an Omniscience, you get to put in like an Emrakul, the 15 mana one, you get to put in, you know, anything big. Obviously we are stuck, if you will, in green, which I'm not complaining about, so we don't have those options, but we have really powerful options. So I think the most important thing about this deck is having the right balance of ways to tap my creatures, big stuff, and, well, ramp in case counter never resolves. I also need to cast my big stuff. So to tap it, we have obviously, I think vehicles is going to be the best way. So Smuggler's Copter, Esca's Chariot, there's some other vehicles as well. The Ava, whatever, Harvester can also be an option, can give you lifelink and gain a little life there. Options in tapping, there's also creatures. We just saw Tyvar also taps creatures. So there's plenty of options to tap it, so you get the right balance of it, of powerful enough cards that tap it, and then you have your big stuff. We obviously have like Gauta. I think it will be the most powerful card to have to play it, because since you're going to be playing a lot of big creatures, you get to put Gauta from the corner and then just slam all the creatures you have in your hand. Sundering Titan, again, also another powerful option. Since you're mono green, you can punish 2-3 color players, or even 4-5 color players as well. But we're not stuck to just creatures, so we have the likes of Sandworm Convergence. You can be attacked by flyers, you're making a 5-5 every turn. Portal to Phyrexia, just kill 3 of your opponent's creatures and start getting creatures every turn, which is something green. Killing creatures can be a bit hard sometimes. But then the other part of the deck is making sure by the time you cast Kona, you have a powerful permanent to put into play, because obviously we are balancing tap effects, ramp, and big stuff. So it's very easy, we get the wrong half of the deck problem, where we play Kona, we manage to tap it, and I have an Explorer, a Lanois Elf, and a Smuggler's Copter in my hand. I'm like, cool, I get to put a free Smuggler's Copter into play, which is obviously nice, but it's not what we want to do. So I think tutors like Sylvan, Threats Undetected are going to be very vital in this deck. Obviously, Threats Undetected, you're getting different powers and your opponent gets to choose. But as you can see, we already have a 12 power creature and a 7 power creature. It won't be hard to get a 6 power creature and an 8 power creature, for example. So you're going to be getting value out of it. But yeah, it's about finding the right balance of tutors, tap abilities, ramp, and big stuff. You don't want to be too lopsided either any of the ways. But yeah, I think this is going to be definitely a very powerful commander. I'm not sure about playing in the 99, but as a commander I am super excited, since you can give it enough tap things in your deck. If you have it as a part of the 99, it's a bit harder to justify playing a bunch of vehicles and other tap abilities. But it could be really good in the Tyvar deck, since you'll be excited to tap it with the Tyvar. So, you know, I think they both fit in each other's deck, and that's really, really sweet. Up next, our first multicolor, we have Nico, Light of Hope. It's a 4-mana 3/4 human wizard that creates 2 shard tokens. When it comes to play, shard tokens are enchantment tokens that you can tap 2 mana, sacrifice, scry 1 and draw a card. But the powerful part of the creature of Nico is you pay 2 mana and you tap it. Exile target non-legendary, worth noting, non-legendary creature control. The shards become copy of it at the end of turn, and you return at the beginning of the end step. So what are we doing here? We want ETBs and we want attack triggers, and obviously other exile, you know, powerful effects. First of all, shard tokens. If you look on Scryfall, there's one other card that creates shard token, and it's the Nico Planeswalker we're looking at here. You can pay 3 mana and X, and you create X shard tokens when it comes into play. That's the only other way to make shard tokens. Obviously, if Nico dies, you're gonna, every time you play it, you probably going to keep the shard tokens around. Obviously, if you need, you can sack it to draw a card, but you should be able to keep some shard tokens around. So I think we need ways. We don't need ways, but I think it could be interesting to have ways to maximize it. So obviously running the second Nico, running Anointed Procession that doubles the tokens when you get tokens. Could be interesting. I don't think it's necessary, but I think it could be interesting. And then we want attack triggers on blue-white. If it was on red, it would be a lot easier, but blue-white also has. We have both Titans, for example, which can be very powerful. Imagine you exile Sun Titan, you get 2 Sun Titans, you attack with both. 2 triggers, return things from your graveyard, then at the end step Sun Titan comes back, you get another thing from your graveyard. You got so much value on that turn. So like Sun Titan, Frost Titan, very powerful. And then obviously for the rest of the deck we're running other ETBs. We find a really powerful attack trigger, or maybe a deal damage trigger like Malcolm, not Malcolm because it's legendary, but you know what I mean, like something that deals damage and I'm getting value. Mind Skin or not Mind Skin, it's legendary. That's a bit annoying, the non-legendary claws, because there's so many legendary powerful creatures nowadays. But yeah, for the rest of the deck, you're running out the exile effects, like Ephemerate, things like that, Cloud Shift, Memory, Blink memory, I don't remember what it's called. But yeah, then you have So Herd as well, Abuelos, other ways to do it and get value out of it. And then other ETBs like Oracle of the Alpha, you're just gonna fill your deck with power 9. Then Recruit, as you can see, would already here fetch 3 different creatures, and usually with ETBs like your Mold Drifters and Think Cloud Blazers, they're usually very small creatures, so Recruit of the Gods is very powerful, and if we're blinking it, we're getting a lot of value as well. But yeah, this is kind of the deck that's right up my alley. I love blinking decks. My Ariel, my real life commander deck is a 4-color blink with the twin combo. I'm a terrible person, so yeah, this is right up my alley and I'm definitely building this deck. But yeah, it's about finding the powerful attack triggers in blue-white, which is going to be hard to find. Up next, in black-white, we have Victor Valgoth's. Not going to say the word because I don't know how to say it. Don't want to sound like an idiot. It's a 3-mana 3/3 human warlock with Eerie whenever an enchantment you control enters the battlefield, or whenever you fully unlock a room, which I looked at. There's not that many interesting rooms, at least at first glance. Maybe I missed some. Okay, either way, you surveil 2 the first time, the second time your opponent discards a card, and the third time you return a creature from a graveyard, not your graveyard, to the battlefield under control. So the obvious first way to build it is just like a black-white Enchantress deck. So your Sigils, your Archons, whenever you cast an enchantment, you're getting value. Whenever enchantment comes into play, you're getting value. You make all your permanents enchantments, so you're playing land, you're triggering the Archon, for example, Hallowed, Hunting as well, you're getting a bunch of creatures, and then eventually, if you have a lot of enchantment, your creatures get flying, so on and so forth. But I think, because we want to get the most value out of this card, and if you're playing Enchantress, you're going to be playing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana enchantments, and you're not getting 3 triggers from 5 mana enchantments. Like, you're not going to be able to play 5 mana enchantments. 3 5-mana enchantments in a turn. It's going to be very hard. So I think playing a black-white Aura deck could be the most interesting. So we have like Core Spirit Dancer Saram. It's going to keep drawing you cards. It's going to let you play, every time you play an Aura, you're going to get most likely draw another one. In this way, you're just going to keep playing them. You're going to be able to, most turns, get the full value of Victor by playing a bunch of 1-mana Auras. There's like Light Pulse, which you're going to be sent whenever you cast an Aura that targets it, you search for another Aura in your deck. Like, it's going to be really powerful. I think that's the best way to get enough trigger, to get the full ability of Victor most turns. And I think that's the way I will build it, or would most likely build it. I think the Enchantress version is fine. I'm not sure if there's another black-white Enchantress commander right now on Arena, but I think I'm leaning more towards this Aura, low to the ground, cheap stuff. Because if the third ability is the most powerful, where you're getting a creature from a graveyard, and since you're running black, you're gonna have your Go for the Throats, you're gonna have your, Shoot the Sheriff, I think it's called. You're gonna have removal, so you're gonna be able to get a big creature or a decent creature from opponent's graveyard. You're gonna be able to get value. So I think that's the best way to build it. That's the way I'm leaning towards it. I don't know if you guys agree or not. Do let me know. But yeah, I'm excited about Victor as well in this Aura version. Up next. Oh, this is another one I consider to be borderline unplayable, but I decided to give it a shot. Nashi, and this hurts me a lot to say, because Nashi is the Sultai Nashi, the Alchemy Sultai Nashi is my baby. I play Sultai Flash for fun in my free time, I love Nashi. So them making a new Nashi and it being so disappointing like this one hurt me a little bit. But either way, Nashi Search in the Dark is a 2/2 Rat Ninja Wizard with menace. Being a Rat Ninja Wizard is pretty freaking cool, not gonna lie. So whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you mill them any cards, so 2 cards the first time around at least. You put any number of legendary and or enchantment cards from among them into your hand. If you put no cards, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it keeps getting bigger. What are we doing here? I think it lines up similarly to Victor, where we're running an Aura deck with the Enchantress sub-theme in a way. So we have this new card, Entity Tracker, with Flash. Whenever an enchantment comes into play, you draw a card. So, we're running a bunch of cheap auras like your Combat Research, Curious Obsession, or Aether Tunnel, so make sure that the Nashi goes through. And connects and gets the trigger, so we draw extra cards, or at least it gets bigger. We want these enchantments that are going to keep giving us value, you know, giving it hexproof as well, make sure it doesn't die, because it's very fragile. A female is going to be making creatures, since we're going to have extra enchantments that we don't want, we can leave in the graveyard. Since we're running this kind of Voltron deck in a way, so Invisible Stalker, other hexproof creatures, or creatures with evasion, this time around we can consider Malcolm. Give me a sec, I need water, my throat has gone. Alright, we're back. So yeah, we need ways to protect it and get through, but I think even then, it's kind of a blue-black tempo deck. I think it's interesting, but I don't think it's super powerful. I would give it a go. Say you are a rat ninja wizard, you know. I wish I was a rat ninja wizard, you know, with like, you know, my cool monocle, whatever the hell that is. So yeah, give enough hexproof, enough enchantments to make the ability like to trigger legendary stuff. You don't need to add, like you're just gonna have nowadays. So many legendary creatures are just like must-haves in deck anyways, and they're legendary lands as well, legendary enchantments, legendary obviously planeswalkers. So you're gonna be getting the value out of the legendary. It's just about mitigating the enchantment cards, which I think is running auras that give you more value, at least protect Nash a little bit. You can run your dive downs and your shore ups as well. But yeah, don't think it's gonna be super competitive, super powerful, but you know, I love Nash. I love my red ninja wizard. Up next, still in blue black. This is the one of the more powerful ninja commanders we've ever had. This is a very straightforward deck to build. Kato, Bane of Nightmares, 4 mana, planeswalker with ninjutsu, which unfortunately doesn't matter. You can't ninjutsu from the command zone, so disregard that part. During your turn, as long as Kaito has one or more counters on it, it's a 3/4 ninja creature with hexproof. And the +1 makes a ninja emblem, +1/+1 to all your ninjas. Like just a +1 on your planeswalker commander is gonna make all your creatures bigger. Surveil 2 and then draw card for each opponent's lost life this turn, which is very easy with your evasive creatures. And then you can pay 2 to tap a creature and keep it tapped for a couple of turns. So yeah, this deck, there's no secret. You're running a ninja deck, and that's it. Ninja, counter spells, removal spells, and a couple of evasive creatures so you can ninjutsu in. You're running your ninja lords, your ninja draw cards, your ninja make virus beetles, your ninja get things from graveyard, triggers from ninjutsu, the other Kaito. Like this is probably one of the more straightforward, just a ninja tribal deck. It's gonna be fun. We love our tribal decks around here, and this one, and the good thing about ninja, it can play very well tempo and get a lot of value from like your changing out your 1 mana 1/1, being able to ninjutsu out of it and keeping up mana for your mana drains or your spell pierces, your fatal pushes or whatever. I think it's gonna be an interesting deck, and yeah, I would definitely give it a go. But yeah, very straightforward. There's not much to say about it. Just straight up ninjas. Up next, the Swarm Weaver. 4 mana 2/3 legendary artifact creature Scarecrow. When it comes into play, you create 2/1/1 black and green sack creature tokens with flying, freaking petrifying. I hate insects. I am a city boy. I do not handle spiders very well, but here we go. Delirium, as long as there's 4 more card types, 1 card in the graveyard. Insects and spiders in control get +1/+1 have death touch. So what are we doing here? We are achieving Delirium, and we want spiders and insects. If you look on Scryfall, obviously on Arena once this comes out for insects and spiders, there's a lot of underwhelming ones, and I don't think you need to run a bunch of like the bad ones. I don't think you need to go full insects and spider tribal. There's a few of them that are very good and they make multiple creatures. So we're talking about like Ishkana, which is going to make 3 more spiders. Izoni is going to make a bunch of insects. Skewed Swarm is an insect itself, it's going to make more, and the other Ishkana is going to keep getting more spiders from its draft spell book, if you will, rather. So I think the main goal here is making sure you achieve Delirium and also getting value from having cards in your graveyard. So Ripples is a very good way to achieve Delirium. Obviously being enchantment as well also helps, because your usual types are like instant, sorcery, creature, and land. So if you can have enchantment, planeswalker, battle as well, artifact, and kindred, I think are the other types you can get. So if you have any of those, that really helps you make sure you achieve Delirium by the time you play the Swarm Weaver. So yeah, I think that's important. So obviously you have other cards like Green Flay also helps, and it's also going to get value from you have Delirium. Lumra helps you not only... no one saw that. Not only helps you get delirium, but also since you're going to be milling so much, you're going to have a lot of lands, and Lumber is just going to ramp you a lot. 6 is also going to get a lot of value. So it's a very nice green-black graveyard based with this insect sub theme. I don't recommend playing bad insects like the 1-mana 1/1 Death Touch for green. Like, don't do that. There's no need. Just play the more powerful ones and make sure you have delirium, and play a graveyard based green black deck, which is how you usually play your green black decks anyway. So yeah, it's a fun deck, it's a fun commander, and I'm excited for it. Up next, Arabella Abandoned Doll. My first glance at this card was like, yeah, this is gonna be unplayable / uninteresting, but I gave it a go, and I think there's enough of a gimmick that I'm actually very excited about it now. So it's a 1/3 for 2 mana. When it attacks, it deals X damage to each opponent, and you gain X life or X the number of creatures you control power 2 or less. Power 2 or less. That's the gimmick I think we want to build around in this deck. So we have the new card, Enduring Innocence. Whenever one more creatures you control power 2 or less enters, you draw a card. And then when it dies, it comes back as an enchantment, so you're going to keep drawing cards. So this is a very powerful card in this deck. Downy is going to make Arabella trigger twice. The Endurance is going to trigger twice. Everything's going to trigger twice. So, and they can't be blocked by bigger creatures, so that's going to help you push him the damage. Assemble the players. Since we're running a bunch of small creatures in the deck, it's going to be playing a couple creatures a turn potentially. Dusk to Dawn, in case you obviously can't see the full card here. But the Dusk part is a Wrath of God of creature power 3 or greater. It's going to kill everything but your creatures. Raid Bombardment, every creature that attacks, you're gonna pop out 2 less, you're gonna be dealing 1 damage, you're gonna be getting a lot of this constant damage without even connecting. So Arabella trigger, Raid Bombardment trigger, and there's another one for 2 mana whose name is escaping me right now, but that's fine. Obviously you're gonna run a bunch of weak creatures, low power creatures, so like Ragavan is the best example, it's the most powerful one. And then the thing is, we want to have creatures with low power, but at the same time we want them to hit for a lot. But we don't want them to get big prior to Arabella triggering or like coming into play. So the Innocent triggers, so the Assemble gets to play cards. So we have these momentary pumps. So like Boathound, it attacks a 2-power creature. It feeds, it helps deal more damage to Arabella. It gets double trigger from Downy. So all our creatures gonna get +1/+1/+1/+0 twice. But only during combat, and obviously after combat. But then he already dodged the Dusk, he already got the trigger from Innocence, he already got the double trigger from Downy, he already helped Arabella get to her trigger, so that's powerful. Same with Goblin Oriflame, I'm pretty sure it works, not 100% sure if it's a trigger or not. It might just be you attack, they already got bigger, in which case it might harm some of the triggers, so I'm not 100% sure on Goblin Oriflame. I would have to actually, understand the rules of the game, which I'm not very good at. But yeah, I think it has an interesting enough gimmick of the power 2 or less with enough support. As we can see, 4 powerful cards already on this top row, and there's many more that I'm interested in Arabella. And also, running a creepy doll as your commander, kind of sweet. And again, it's an uncommon, so it doesn't take that many wild cards to build her, so that's always nice. But yeah, either way, up next we have another Boros, the Jolly Balloon Man. 3 mana 1/4 with haste. You can pay 1 mana and tap it, only activate as a sorcery though, to create a token that's a copy of another creature you control, except it's a 1/1 with flying and haste, and you sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. So what are we doing here? We want ETB, we want attack trigger, we want combat damage trigger, and we want die triggers. So Fury is super powerful, it has an ETB trigger that's going to be killing a bunch of creatures. Solemn, ETB, and die trigger. Drawing your card, getting your land. Caldera, sorry, gonna come into play, get the mountains from your deck if you didn't choose to get all the mountains. Well, like you can play the first Caldera, get no mountains. Oh no, it's all mountains, so you don't have the choice. So it comes to play, it doesn't get any mountains, but once you sacrifice it after you attacked, you're gonna get 4 Volcanic Geysers into your deck. In case you don't know what Volcanic Geyser is, it's a 2x card that deals X damage to any target. Basically, you can spend all your mana to deal a bunch of damage to your opponent. Flame Skull as well, gonna hit them, then it's gonna exalt a card from the top of your decks and give you card advantage. So those are like the die ETB triggers. Inferno Titan, we've spoke previously about Inferno, the Sun Titan and the Frost Titan, because they have ETBs and attack trigger, so it works really well here. The token comes in, deals 3 damage, he attacks with the token, deals another 3 damage. Glory Bringer, we can exert the token. Relic Robber and Moria Marauder, since once they connect, since they have flying, they're more likely to connect. You're going to be getting value from them as well. So yeah, you just honestly just run a bunch of ETBs, die triggers, combat triggers, things like that, and you have a really powerful deck. So it's like a red-white deck with a heavy focus on these three things: attack, ETB, or die trigger. So I guess that's most of it, but you can go heavier on whatever way you want to go. Obviously, the Jolly Man, 3 mana, you probably want to cast it on turn 4, so you can make sure you can activate it. So obviously the 3 mana ones are more exciting, your Flame Skulls, your Relic Robbers, your Moria Marauders, the cheaper ones. So by turn 4 you can play it and activate it. So yeah, I'm interested about it, for it. I'm not sure which one I will be more interested in, Arabella or it, but they're both, I'm very keen on both, either way. Up next, for me, the single, like one thing I want to do for the next ones is put like a seal of the most exciting one for me, and this is Winter Misanthropic, if that's how you say it, guide. A 3/4 Jund commander with War 2. So hard to freaking kill. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws 2 cards. Card advantage for me and for thee. And then if Delirium, as long as there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard, each opponent's hand size is equal to 7 minus the number of those card types. Let's go through card types again. We have creature, instant, sorcery, land, 4. We got Delirium, those are easy. Artifact, 5. Enchantment, 6. Battle, 7. Kindred, 8. Or tribal rather. Planeswalker, 9. Probably forgetting something. Artifact, I don't know if I said it, but if I didn't, that's 10, potentially 9. So like, we can make opponent's hand size to be 0. Yeah, we're giving them 2 extra cards, but where the hand size is 0, so that's fantastic. They have to use it on that turn, otherwise they lose it at the end of the turn. So what do we want to do here? We want to make sure by the time we play Winter, we have Delirium. So on that turn already, on the opponent's end step, they're going to have to discard some cards, most likely. Especially if they're like a mid-range control deck. Especially because Winter is going to be very hard to kill with the War 2. So Ripple's Mesmeric Orb, not only are they very good to mill us, but they're also a different card type from the usual 4 we have. So that will help us reach Delirium and a higher Delirium as well. And since we're drawing extra cards, well, first let's go, we have battles and enchantments, tribal enchantments, tribals only. There's not that many tribal cards on Arena. You have like your Kozilek's Command, Bitter Blossom, which I think is the most playable one, and then a bunch of like mediocre drowsy ones, which I don't think are playable. So the only tribal one I would play would be Bitter Blossom, because it's also an enchantment. Invasion of Zendikar, there's a few other battles that may be worthwhile, but I think Invasion is one of the better ones. There's a green-red one for 2 mana, that creates a treasure and lets you discard a card and draw a card when it comes to play. That one is also really helps reach Delirium if it goes into the graveyard, and if it's in play, you're getting some value of putting something into the graveyard, so that'll probably be worth it. But yeah, the other part of Winter we want to get value out of is drawing extra cards and our opponent drawing extra cards. So both Jorel, this card, and Ironcrag Pyromancer, whenever we draw a second card, we're gonna deal 3 damage to any target and kill it, and make a 2/2. And then eventually we can pump our creatures equal to the number of cards you have in hand. So like, we're getting value from us drawing extra cards. But wait, opponents are also drawing extra cards. Okay, cool. They're gonna take an extra 4 damage, and they're gonna take 2. We're gonna do 2 damage with the Orcish Bowmaster and amass 2. So you know, a lot of value. Even though we're giving opponent cards, we're getting a lot of value out of it. This is going to be a really powerful like Jund rock kind of deck with this Delirium, really powerful Delirium effect, and so much card advantage because you're going to keep drawing cards and you keep getting more and more value. I think this is the most exciting commander we've had in a while for me personally, and I'm really looking forward to playing with Winter. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. If any of you guys are excited, do let me know. Like I will try to make this one of the first commander Brawl decks I build when this new set comes out. But yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 for me. Gimmick wise and power level wise, 10 out of 10. And lastly, the only colors commander we have this time around is Marvin, the Murderous Mimic. 2/2 for 2. It has all activated abilities of creatures you control that don't have the same name as this creature. So we're running a mono colors artifact themed with activated abilities. We have like obviously Hangerback Walker is going to be able to put counters on Marvin. Scarecrow, you can sacrifice another Scarecrow, but you can also return an artifact creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if you have an artifact creature with create abilities that died earlier, you can bring it back. So Marvin gets the ability again. Steel Overseer makes it bigger. Wall is going to give it indestructible. But yeah, like this would be a bit weak to removal. So obviously Agatha Soul Cauldron is going to really help us. Like even though the Marvin died, now we bring it back. We exile whatever creature we have with Agatha, put a counter on Marvin. Now he has all the abilities. So even if we put the counter on a different creature, since that creature now has those active abilities, guess what? Marvin also has it. The Litho Form engine is going to be able to target, to copy the activated abilities that we have a bunch, and even the last part of copying target spell. We can't really target an instant sorcery since we're monocolors. We're going to have like obviously Cosmic Command and a couple other cards, but overall we're not going to have many. And I think to round off the deck, you're just going kind of like this stompy, colorless artifact stuff. So like Glowstone Golem, make that stuff more expensive, make Karn Struck tokens, little card advantage as well. Being a colorless deck is always a bit iffy since you don't get to interact in the most of the access other decks get to. So obviously loses a bit of value on that. But I think it has an interesting gimmick where I'm kind of still keen to play it. Obviously very weak to the likes of Farewell, Pass Infestation, other artifact based Force of Vigor kind of removal. But even then I still think it's quite interesting. So yeah, I'll still be excited about it. And on that note, those are all the commanders we got this time around. Let me know which ones you're excited about. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Do leave a like, do subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. I do post once in a while deck lists and such, especially for midweek Magic when I don't record them. And yeah, we're still aiming for 1 to 2 videos, sometimes 3 videos a week. And if you enjoy it, stick around and find out. Until next time, see ya.